What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and hopefully you've watched yesterday's video. Now, we've had quite an interesting day, not exactly what I anticipated. A lot more expansion to the downside, so dollar is heavily bearish, and I was certainly caught off guard by the reversal that we had during the New York session that then sent us lower. So in yesterday's video, you remember me stating that I was expecting us to start drawing towards this 1 hour volume imbalance, and at the beginning of the day everything was going well in terms of that draw. You can see price traded higher. It didn't quite touch the volume imbalance, and then that 50% level I spoke about as being a drawn liquidity was obviously playing its role. However, as you can see, as soon as we got to the opening price off Tuesday, which is what I was speaking about, us running, you can see that we reversed on the back of it, and then price just continues to trade lower. And now as we're moving into the new day on Thursday, we've already gapped lower down below south side liquidity, which I also drew our attention to. So it's a lot more of an expansive week than I anticipated, and I can imagine it's only going to keep going. And with that taken into account, I'm going to the weekly, and we can see where exactly we may want to be looking at as to where we're trading. There is a tiny fair value gap on the buy side of the curve over here from February. So let's get that delineated. February 2022, mind you. So it's very possible that price may be drawing down in towards this. So let's just get that marked out, and I'm going to take out that midpoint. And then let's drop down to the daily. And you can see that price has pretty much just been gapping lower all week, which is insane. Obviously, again, I keep saying this, and I've been saying this all week, all the geopolitical news is playing a big role in this volatility. So it does make it very unpredictable and very dangerous in terms of trading. But nonetheless, the way that we're trading through this, for example, this 4 hour candle right here, the way we've closed strongly below this 1 hour 1 hour bullish order block, which I spoke about yesterday, the way we've closed so strongly on it on a low, tapped it, and then gapped lower, is telling us that price is likely going to keep running for a while before we start seeing any kind of potential retracement. So with that taken into account, let's get rid of a few things. We've run out these sell stops, which I wasn't necessarily anticipating getting taken this week. Let's get rid of this for now. It's interesting to see that we did run for that Tuesday opening price, so it does show how relevant it remains. And on the 1 hour, I'm now going to split the day up and see what we can find. So I'm going to look at the opening price for Wednesday as well. I doubt price is going to be wanting to return back up there, and obviously now that we're currently trading in the Asian range, we don't fully have a low for the day technically, and because of that it's going to make it difficult for us to measure the range. But what I would generally be doing is looking at the high of Wednesday and the low wherever it forms, and then that 25% level or the midpoint, but more likely the 25% level, I'd be looking to see if price can tap into that on Thursday to maybe create the high and then roll over. So that's what I'm going to do once the Asian range has finished trading. But like I said, we've already gapped, but the fact that we've gapped, we can actually use that gap to our advantage. So let's just clean up the charts a little bit more. I'll delineate Thursday now, and you can see that we've gapped right here. So here's the opening price, and then here is the gap open. So we have this entire range which price will likely want to refer to, and this is what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat it like a fair value gap. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it into quarters. We can do that like so. And then as far as I'm concerned, the highest I want to see price trade within this quarter is going to be the 50% level. Ideally, it doesn't even get up there. That would show strong weakness and can help us frame trades around that moving in the new day. And then what I'm focusing on is that this 25% level right here. So as we go into Thursday, maybe during the London session, I'll be looking around this midpoint to see if there's any kind of fair value gap or something it may want to refer to. And then assuming that all is well and it's respecting it, I'd expect more shorts with the expectation to start drawing down deeper into the discount. Now, again, it's not necessarily going to reach this weekly fair value gap, although I wouldn't put it past price at this point. But at least we have a draw and an expectation that price is going to continue running, especially since we've now taken out these significant lows. I'm not expecting this gap that is created to hold price, as in to allow price to trade through it. I think it's going to act as resistance, and price should be able to move away from it. Similar to what we have here, we had this gap up here, and price didn't even manage to get up to it at all. Even though I wanted to see us get up there, price completely failed to do so. So seeing this gap is just helping play into that. So that's going to be everything on dollar. I hope that makes sense. But mainly, I'm just paying attention to this large gap and the 25% level, with the expectation that we can just see a rollover. And obviously we've got more high impact news moving into tomorrow. So let's go on to GBP USD, and you can see that GBP has been rallying strongly. It didn't quite reach down towards our Tuesday opening price, which I spoke about. Again, we created the low at 8:30, which was interesting, and then we had a reversal on the back of it, and price has been rallying since. So where is it heading? Well, we need to go to the weekly, and now we can start looking for more relative equal highs, such as here. These are the last. Let me go on the weekly. These are the next significant swing highs that I see price wanting to draw towards, but before it gets there, there is a small fair value gap similar to what we saw on dollar right here that price may want to try and trade to, so we can use that as our draw. Again, it might not necessarily reach there this week, which is completely fine, but it gives us some kind of range. And then we obviously have these highs here, 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 and then here to run. But I'm not going to keep these on the charts because it's a bit messy. Actually, I'll keep the first level right here, and then we know that this is a weekly fair value gap. Now, with that all taken into account, I'm going to use the wicks of the previous weeks to help us frame where price may potentially retrace to. So let's get rid of a few things for now. Actually, before we do that, let's go down to the daily and see how we traded. And you can see, yeah, not really much to go off, but let's go to this wick right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this out and treat this as a fair value gap. And then when we drop down to the 4 hour, again, if we do get any kind of retracement, I'd be expecting this high right here to be acting as like a trampoline for price, because there's a fair value gap there, and if we do want to retrace at any point, this is where I'd want to see price use it as like a springboard to then send it higher. But again, I doubt it's even going to make it back down there, because at the rate it's moving, it's not needing to it's not doing much pullbacks before it's rallying. Like for example here, this pullback right here just about ran this stop and then carried on trading higher. So I doubt price is going to need to retrace that deeply. But if we go to the 1 hour where we have the daily dividers, that should be able to help us. And you can see that swing high is still significant. And then we can also see a bullish order block right here. So this should ideally hold price, as in it, again, if we do see any kind of retracement moving into Thursday, I'd like to think that this will be able to hold price. So let's just clear up a few things. I do want this opening price just for reference. We'll go to the 15-minute. And now we have a clear bullish order block that if price does trade into maybe in the early hours of tomorrow, as we trade into London session, it'll be nice to think that price will be able to use that as a springboard to keep trading higher, depending on what the Asian range does. Now, if you watch yesterday's video, you remember me talking about the Asian ranges and how I was looking for them as targets. And you'll see here's an example of us taking out both sides of the Asian range. So if we go to 7 p.m., which is right here, draw it out, you can see how price took out the south side of the Asian range and then ran the buy side, and it's been rallying since. So that's a classic form of the Asia range in strong trending weeks like what we have this week. So if the same happens, say today, so we find an Asian range that forms, I'll be looking for us to run the lows off it during London and then rally for the rest of the day to start working its way towards the highs, assuming we are going to keep going. But yeah, definitely low risk environments when it's rallying this much, because at any point it's going to slow down and probably be heavily consolidated, which would drive me insane, especially when you're seeing this much expansion. I can only imagine how many people are buying, wanting to see it continue to go, but eventually it's going to pull itself into itself and just be consolidating, because a lot's happened this week. But it's definitely going to be an interesting week to study, especially the way it's been very classic in that Monday's created a low, ran out south side liquidity, and has traded higher since, with classic Asia ranges forming and allowing us to climb on higher towards buy side. So yeah, something to take note of. But nonetheless, this bullish order block, I'd like to think it can hold price if we even do get a retracement at all. And then finally, we are going to finish up on Euro USD, and again the very same in terms of a lot of bullish price action. And we failed again to reach down into the discount. I was quite naive in thinking that price was going to completely turn around at the dime, and you can see that we are aggressively trading higher to more buy sides. So let's get rid of everything. Let's go to the weekly and see again where it's drawing to. There's a nice fair value gap up here on the weekly, similar to what we found on dollar and pound. And then if we go onto the daily, there's not really much here. If again any kind of deeper retracement, I'm looking at the highs of previous highs that price may want to tap into, but I doubt it's going to be dropping down there. And then we have the 4 hour where there's a bullish order block as well. So again, if we find us creating any kind of low that does manage to get down towards this range, this is a bullish order block high where I'd expect price to be sensitive. And then on the hourly, I should look at the daily dividers, we have a bullish order block right here. So I'd like to see that hold price, if anything, because the way that we've created this gap now on the hourly, depending on how this candle closes, if this massive fair value gap stays how it is, what I'd be looking at is the 50% level and the 25% level, and then I'll be dragging that into the new day with the expectation that price can use that to then trade higher depending on where the Asia range is built around it. Hope that all makes sense. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to quickly, assuming this candle closes like this, but obviously we still have 30 minutes, and then we have, I'm just going to mark out Wednesday and Thursday. And I want to mark out the low from 7 p.m, which right now is here. So drag that through. And then I'll be wanting to mark out the high. And basically I'll be looking at either the midpoint or the 25% level off that entire range, moving into the London session, and then trading off the back of the 25% level or 50% level, expecting price to be able to continue to rally higher for a bit. So I hope that all makes sense. Quite complicated, but trending weeks like these, it can be nerving because you're just like, okay, at what point is it going to stop? And I think weeks this aggressive, they only happen at it's very rare you see weeks this aggressive happening. And we can look at this on a higher time frame. On the weekly, you can see when we have weeks this large, it's very rare, and it's like only at certain points of the year. And if you're in it, you're in it. But I mean, once you miss it, it feels like you're constantly going to miss it. But then you see price keep climbing and climbing and climbing, and it very well could climb into Friday. So that's just something to take into account. But that's going to be everything, guys. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the Discord. All the links are in the description, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.